Look at you, scrolling mindlessly, desperately seeking answers to why nobody takes you seriously, why your boss walks all over you, why women dismiss you, why society treats you like you're disposable. You're tired of it, aren't you? The constant disrespect, the dismissive glances, the way your ideas get ignored until someone else repeats them. The dating apps where you're just another forgettable face in an endless stream of options. Every day you wake up wearing a mask. You suppress your darkness. You hide your power. You nod and smile while something deep inside you is screaming. And everyone can sense it. They can smell the disconnect between who you pretend to be and who you really are. That's why they don't respect you. Carl Jung would call you a psychological coward. Too harsh? Good. That means you're actually listening now. The truth is, you've been sold a lie about what makes a man worthy of respect. You've been told that if you're nice enough, accommodating enough, if you suppress enough of your natural masculine energy, then people will respect you. But look around. Who are the men that command attention when they enter a room? Who are the men that others instinctively defer to? Who are the men that women are actually drawn to beyond superficial statements about wanting nice guys? They're not the men who've suppressed their nature. They're the men who've embraced it completely. This isn't just another pep talk. This is about fundamental psychological transformation. About becoming the complete version of yourself that commands respect not through domination, but through wholeness. Carl Jung, once the prize student of Sigmund Freud before their infamous intellectual split, spent decades exploring the darkest recesses of the human psyche. What he discovered was revolutionary. A complete psychological ecosystem within each of us that includes aspects we consciously identify with and aspects we desperately try to deny. This denied part of yourself, what Jung termed the shadow, isn't just some minor psychological curiosity. It's the key to understanding why you're not commanding the respect you deserve. Your shadow isn't simply your dark side in some cartoonish, villainous sense. Your shadow contains everything about yourself that you've deemed unacceptable based on your family conditioning, cultural programming, and personal experiences. For most modern men, this shadow contains your primal aggression, the capacity to fight, to defend, to establish boundaries. Your sexual nature, not just desire, but the full spectrum of masculine sexual energy. Your ambition, the unapologetic drive to achieve, to conquer challenges, to win. Your judgment, your capacity to evaluate others and find them wanting. Your selfishness, your healthy drive to prioritize your own needs and desires. From early childhood, you were taught to suppress these qualities. Your aggression was punished. Your sexual nature was shamed. Your ambition was labeled as toxic competition. Your judgment became intolerance. Your selfishness became toxic masculinity. So what did you do? You pushed these parts of yourself into the unconscious. You created what Jung called a persona, a socially acceptable mask that shows none of these supposedly dangerous qualities. But here's what Jung understood that modern society has forgotten. These aspects of yourself don't disappear when you repress them. They go underground. They become unconscious. And from there, they begin to control you in ways you don't even recognize. And here's the most devastating part. Everyone around you can sense this internal division. They can feel the lack of congruence between what you show and what you're hiding. They can tell you don't fully believe in your own words and actions. This is why you're not respected. Not because you lack the qualities necessary for respect, but because you've locked those very qualities in a psychological dungeon, leaving only a pale imitation of a complete man to walk through the world. Jung wrote, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls." And that's exactly what you've been doing, avoiding the totality of who you are, running from your own power, denying your own nature. Here's the brutal truth no one else will tell you. People don't respect men who hide from their own nature. Every time you swallow your words to avoid conflict, every time you suppress your authentic reactions to please others, every time you deny your natural masculine instincts, you're broadcasting weakness to everyone around you. Not because those instincts themselves make you strong, but because the denial of any authentic part of yourself creates a fracture in your psyche that others intuitively detect. This is what I call the respect paradox, and understanding it will completely transform how you approach your interactions with others. The paradox works like this. The harder you try to earn respect by suppressing parts of yourself you think others will find objectionable, the less respect you actually receive. Let me break this down with concrete examples from your everyday life. Work. You sit in meetings with ideas burning inside you, but you hold back from expressing them fully because you're afraid of seeming too aggressive or dominating. You qualify your statements with "I think maybe" or "I'm not sure but" to seem collaborative. What happens? Your boss overlooks you for promotions. Your colleagues don't champion your ideas. The raise you deserve goes to someone else who hasn't worked nearly as hard but who presents themselves as a complete, confident person. In dating, you hide your true desires and intentions with women because you've been told your masculine sexuality is predatory or unwanted. You suppress your natural protective and decisive instincts because you don't want to seem controlling. What happens? Women sense the incongruence immediately. They feel an unconscious unease they can't quite name. The chemistry fizzles. They tell you you're such a nice guy, but they don't feel that spark, which is code for, "I sense you're not showing me who you really are," and that feels deceptive. In friendships, you laugh at jokes that actually offend you. You go along with plans you don't enjoy. You avoid expressing disagreement because you don't want to rock the boat. What happens? Your friends begin taking you for granted. They respect your opinions less and less. They see you as the agreeable sidekick rather than a man with his own center of gravity. Jung would explain this paradox through his concept of psychic energy. When you suppress aspects of yourself, the energy required for that suppression becomes unavailable for authentic connection and expression. You quite literally become psychologically weaker, and others sense it immediately. The most tragic part is that this creates a vicious cycle. The less respect you receive, the more you try to be what you think others want. The more you try to be what others want, the less authentic you become. The less authentic you become, the less respect you receive. True respect cannot be demanded or manipulated into existence. It arises naturally in response to psychological wholeness. So what's Jung's one trick to commanding immediate respect? Shadow integration. This isn't some mystical process. It's straightforward psychological work that requires honest self-examination. Let me walk you through the process. Step 1. Shadow recognition. Before you can integrate your shadow, you must first recognize its existence and identify what you've banished there. What parts of yourself do you hide from others? What emotions make you uncomfortable? Anger? Envy? Lust? Ambition? What thoughts do you judge yourself for having? What criticisms have others made about you that trigger an unusually strong defensive reaction? This last question is particularly important because, as Jung noted, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. The qualities that most disturb you in others are often the very qualities you've rejected in yourself. For example, if you find yourself unusually angered by selfish people, it's likely you've disowned your own healthy selfishness and banished it to your shadow. This recognition process isn't about self-judgment. It's about self-awareness, the first step toward wholeness. Step 2. Shadow acceptance. Once you've identified aspects of your shadow, the next step is accepting these qualities as legitimate parts of yourself. This doesn't mean acting on every impulse. It means acknowledging that these impulses exist and serve a purpose in your psychological ecosystem. Your aggression isn't evil. It's the energy that allows you to protect yourself and others, to set boundaries, to pursue goals with vigor. Your judgment isn't mere intolerance. It's your value system in action, your capacity to discern quality and make necessary distinctions. Your selfishness isn't toxic. It's the healthy prioritization of your needs that prevents you from becoming a psychological doormat. Jung put it simply, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. terrifying, but also liberating. Because when you accept these disowned parts of yourself, they no longer control you from the shadows. They become available as psychological resources rather than unconscious saboteurs. Integration is different from mere acceptance. Integration means bringing your shadow qualities into conscious relationship with the rest of your personality. Integration means finding healthy channels for expression of shadow qualities, developing conscious control over impulses rather than unconscious suppression, using shadow energies purposefully rather than having them erupt disruptively. For example, if aggression is in your shadow, integration doesn't mean becoming an aggressive person. It means acknowledging your capacity for aggression and channeling it into appropriate contexts, like standing firm in negotiations, excelling in competitive environments, or protecting your boundaries. Jung believed that psychic energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed. The energy you've been using to suppress your shadow can be redirected toward purposeful expression once integration begins. Step 4. Persona reconstruction. As you integrate your shadow, your social mask, what Jung called the persona, will need to change. Your old persona was designed to hide your shadow. Your new persona should express your complete self authentically, while still functioning effectively in society. This doesn't mean social recklessness. It means congruence between your inner and outer selves. When reconstructing your persona, release the need for universal approval. Develop comfort with others' discomfort. Practice authentic expression in progressively more challenging contexts. As Jung wrote, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. This reconstruction will feel uncomfortable at first. You've spent years, perhaps decades, crafting a persona specifically designed to keep your shadow hidden. Allowing aspects of your complete self to show will initially trigger anxiety. But as you practice this new authenticity, something remarkable happens. The anxiety begins to fade, replaced by a profound sense of psychological alignment. Chapter 5. The immediate effect. When you begin this process of shadow integration, something remarkable happens almost immediately. People start respecting you. Not because you're intimidating them or playing power games, but because they sense psychological congruence in you. They feel the alignment between your inner and outer selves. They recognize authenticity when they encounter it. Let me break down the specific ways this transformation affects how others respond to you. 1. The authority shift. The first change you'll notice is how authority figures respond to you. Your boss, senior colleagues, even random officials you encounter. Before integration, they sensed your psychological fragmentation and responded with subtle displays of dominance or dismissiveness. Your boss interrupted you in meetings. Officials treated you with bureaucratic indifference. After beginning integration, these same people will start treating you as a peer rather than a subordinate. Not because your external status has changed, but because your internal status has transformed. You'll notice your boss asking for your opinion more often. Officials becoming unexpectedly helpful. Senior colleagues treating your ideas with genuine consideration. A client of mine, a mid-level manager who had been passed over for promotion 3 times, noticed this shift within weeks of beginning shadow work. During a meeting where he consciously integrated his previously disowned ambition and judgment, the CEO addressed him directly. "I've never thought about it that way. Tell me more." 2. The romantic transformation. Perhaps the most dramatic shift occurs in romantic interactions. Before integration, potential partners sensed your need for validation, your hidden agendas, your suppressed aspects. The result? Polite rejection, being friend-zoned, or attracting partners who themselves were psychologically fragmented. After beginning integration, you'll notice potential partners responding with genuine interest and attraction. Not because you've adopted manipulation tactics, but because you're projecting psychological wholeness. Women are particularly attuned to psychological congruence in men. They may not consciously analyze what's changed about you, but they'll feel the difference immediately. Conversations become more engaged. Physical attraction intensifies. Trust develops more rapidly. 3. The social recalibration. Your social circle will undergo an interesting reorganization. People who were drawn to your fragmented self, those who benefited from your people-pleasing, conflict avoidance, or self-suppression, may initially seem uncomfortable with the emerging authentic you. Meanwhile, people who previously showed little interest may suddenly appear in your life, drawn to your growing psychological wholeness. You'll find yourself effortlessly attracting friends who respect boundaries, value authentic exchange, and bring their own psychological wholeness to the relationship. 4. The professional acceleration. In your professional life, integration creates what appears to others as a mysterious boost in capability. Before integration, you likely experienced a gap between your potential and your performance. Ideas remained unexpressed. Opportunities went unexplored. Your capacity remained partially locked in your shadow. After beginning integration, colleagues will wonder what changed. Your creativity increases. Your decisiveness improves. Your communication becomes more impactful. This isn't magic. It's simply the result of having your full psychological resources available rather than using half your energy to suppress aspects of yourself. 5. The energy expansion. Perhaps the most personally significant change is the dramatic increase in available energy. Before integration, you experienced what Jung called psychic entropy, energy lost to internal psychological conflict. This manifested as fatigue, procrastination, and lack of motivation. After beginning integration, you'll notice significantly more energy available for pursuits that matter to you. Projects that once seemed overwhelming become manageable. Goals that seemed distant become achievable. This energy shift is often what others first notice about you, a new vitality and presence that commands attention without demanding it. The ultimate power move isn't externally directed at all. It's internal. It's having the courage to face your own darkness, to integrate your shadow, to become a complete psychological being as Jung described. Let me share why this internal transformation represents the most powerful possible approach to commanding respect, far more effective than any external technique. Most advice about gaining respect focuses on manipulation, changing your behaviors to create a certain impression. Stand this way, speak in this tone, use these words, mirror these gestures. These approaches may create short-term effects, but they ultimately fail because they add another layer of inauthenticity rather than addressing the root cause of disrespect: psychological fragmentation. Shadow integration, by contrast, creates respect organically through psychological coherence. It doesn't require remembering techniques or maintaining a facade. It flows naturally from your integrated state. External approaches to gaining respect create temporary changes at best. They require constant reinforcement and renewal. Shadow integration creates lasting transformation because it addresses the root cause rather than the symptoms. Once integrated, aspects of your shadow don't require ongoing maintenance to stay conscious. They become part of your complete identity. This is why truly respected individuals maintain their status effortlessly. Their respect doesn't come from techniques but from psychological wholeness that others instinctively recognize. Look at the men throughout history who commanded the deepest respect. Not just fear or admiration, but genuine, lasting respect. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor who faced his own darkest impulses and integrated them into his leadership. Abraham Lincoln, who acknowledged his melancholy and doubts rather than hiding behind false certainty. Martin Luther King Jr., who integrated his anger at injustice into powerful, directed purpose rather than suppressing it. These men didn't command respect through dominance behaviors or power tactics. They commanded it through psychological wholeness, through the integration of their complete selves, shadow included. This is why Jordan Peterson, whose work draws heavily from Jung, emphasizes the importance of embracing your darkness, not to become dark, but to become whole. This is why ancient warrior cultures emphasized self-knowledge above all other virtues. This is why truly respected men throughout history have always been those who knew themselves completely, both their capacity for creation and destruction. So stop looking for external quick fixes. Stop blaming others for your lack of respect. Begin the harder, more meaningful work of psychological integration. Here's how to start today. 1. The shadow inventory. Take out a journal. Create 3 columns. Qualities I dislike in others. Emotions I avoid feeling. Desires I'm ashamed of. Fill each column honestly without censorship. This is for you alone. Remember Jung's wisdom. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. This inventory becomes your map of shadow territory, the aspects of yourself that, once integrated, will transform how others respond to you. 2. The daily integration practice. Choose one item from your shadow inventory. For the next 7 days, practice conscious integration. Notice when this quality arises naturally within you. Acknowledge it without judgment. Consider how it might be expressed constructively. Take one small action that represents healthy expression rather than suppression. For example, if you identified anger as a disowned emotion, you might notice when you feel angry but typically suppress it. Acknowledge, I'm feeling anger, and that's a valid human response. Consider, how could this anger energy be channeled constructively? Action. Express a boundary clearly and directly instead of swallowing your frustration. 3. The timeline of transformation. While some effects of shadow integration appear almost immediately, the full transformation unfolds over time. Days 1 to 7, heighten self-awareness and small shifts in how you express yourself. Weeks 2 to 4, noticeable changes in how certain individuals respond to you. Months 2 to 3, broader patterns of increased respect across multiple contexts. Months 4 to 6, structural changes in your relationships and professional standing. This isn't a quick fix. It's a fundamental transformation of your relationship with yourself and, consequently, others' relationships with you. The choice is yours. Continue living as a fragment or begin the journey toward becoming whole. Jung showed us the path. The question is whether you have the courage to walk it.